G'day guys, how we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, June the 23rd, 2025. And not a great weekend if you're a Carlton fan like myself, just to get embarrassed once again. So not a great weekend. Apart from that though, all good. Don't you hate it though? It just spoils your whole weekend when you lose the footy, especially in the circumstances that we tend to lose games in. But apart from that, I hope you all had a great weekend. If you're new to the show, says it right there. It is Talking Boxing. Put your comments, opinions, questions, whatever it might be, in the chat. And we will discuss it for the next couple of hours. Now, some of the things on people's minds, I'm sure. Did you catch the Canelo Crawford press conferences? What did you think? If you follow the Walking Boxing series that I do every morning, you will see my thoughts on it. I thought it was some of the most cringeworthy stuff I think I've ever seen. This is the one from New York City. There's the Canelo lifts. He's putting his shoes by the looks of things, or the shoes with the extra sole on it. There's all sorts of things coming out. What else we got? What are we, a month out from Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora? 2 days out from the doubleheader, the Liam doubleheader, that is. That's Liam Paro and Liam Wilson with their fights. What do you think of that? And look, anything else that you want to talk about, doesn't matter what it is, don't be shy. Put it in the chat there, and let's talk some boxing. Right, let's get into it. Now, as always, the first few will be out of order, but we'll see how we go. Cal Jane, we'll start with you, mate. Evening. Love the Monday nights. Cheers. All good, Cal. Really grateful to have you here, mate. So, again, don't be shy and put any think you want in the chat, and we'll get things started. Drew, what do you got there, mate? I really wish some of these promoters, officials, and businessmen would cut the fluff and get off the stage, or reduce the stage time on all pre-fight presses, particularly the big ones. Mate, I've been going on about this when did I start the channel? About 3 or 4 years ago? 4 years, whatever the hell it was, a while ago. I've been going on about this for so long, and again, if you had to watch my the Walking Boxing episode this morning, you would have seen the Ring Magazine guy. I can't even remember his name now. Rick someone. Well, that was his name. The Ring Magazine CEO or COO or whatever the hell he's called. Just, you could see he was absolutely devastated that he had the belt ready to go and he had his stupid hat and glasses on. And he couldn't quite get in there. And so I'm with you there, mate. He's just the ring guy. Then you've got, as you said there, the officials are all trying to get their heads on TV. All the hangers-on are trying to get their heads on TV, and I don't even like the promoter getting his head. You know, you always see it now. It's not just the big fights; it's whoever. Could be the local show in Melbourne or Sydney or wherever, and you got the promoter, it's got the belt up, guys, or whoever it is, the promoter. Just don't worry about it. Just let the fighters have the stage. Remember, it's not about you, the promoter. You're going to get enough interviews and all your attention that you're after. Let the fighters have the moment when it comes to press conferences and weigh-ins and all that sort of stuff. Let them have their moment. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion anyway. There's too many look at me's in boxing. It's always been that way. I'm sure it always will be. And I said this morning again that when these things come on, I'm not watching the fighters. I'm watching everyone around them, thinking, who's it going to be? Who's going to be the guy that's just looking at the camera? Where can I get? Pushing in front of other people. I people watch. And next time you do it, just don't worry about when Canelo and Crawford next face off. Don't watch them. Watch everyone around them and how everyone's trying to get their heads in there. I don't know. Look, there is a time and place for it all. I get all that. But when it comes to the press conference and the weigh-in, let the fighters have their moment. The promoter will get their head in 100 other different situations. All the hangers-on will have plenty of time to get their heads in there. Let the fighters have their time. But what did you make of it this morning, guys? I mean, the shove from Terence Crawford. From Canelo, wasn't it? Terence Crawford, you could see he'd marched straight over there. And again, Terence Crawford is not the guy that does that sort of stuff. It doesn't suit him. But you see him march toward Canelo with the sole intention of getting in Canelo's face. And Canelo, all right, okay, you want to do that? Well, I'll push you. And then the teams have got to get into it. It's just a circus. Look, Drew, it's probably the one thing it's always, as I said, it's always been around and always will be, but I just don't like it. All right, Eminem. With boots moving up to 154, that division is stacked with some awesome fights you got there. Where was it? Oh, there you are there. Sorry, these comments, first few were all over the place. Potential fights. At 154, well, mate, there's some fantastic fights at 154. I mean, you look at the ratings at the moment. We'll go down to 154. Look at these guys. Bakram Murtazaliev, Erickson Lubin, Conor Benn now. Maybe Crawford, we'll see. Madrimov, we've got Fondora, we've got Ortiz, we've got Tszyu. Well, Josh Kelly looks like he's going to fight Murtazaliev, which should be, I suppose, entertaining. Bolachuk, Zayos. So Keith Thurman's in there as well. Now that Tim Tszyu's off the table, I don't know what the hell Keith Thurman's going to do. He's gone awfully quiet, hasn't he? So we will see. But, mate, some fantastic fights at 154 now. And now that even more with Boots throwing himself in the mix. So, all right, Dry Turkey. I know you're highly anticipating the return of the Bomb Squad on Friday. He just came out a few days ago still saying Fury cheated him. I didn't see that, actually. Do you think those losses to Fury finished him, or was he always average? I think a bit of both, Dry Turkey. I think he's always been very average. I think he's been matched very, very carefully. And I did say this the other day when we're discussing potential Hall of Fame inductees and Deontay Wilder's name came up, and I said not a chance in hell. But there were a few people that said, no, I think he deserves to be in there. He had 10 title defenses. I think he was protected big time by the guys he fought. It's starting to really rain heavy here, guys. I hope I don't sort of cut out on you, but we'll see. But yeah, I think he's always been average. But full credit to him for those 10 defenses. No matter who you're fighting, still got to be good enough to defend the belt 10 times. So I suppose you've got to give him that. But I think he was always average, and I think the Fury losses really took it out of him. I mean, you've seen, what was it? Not so much the Joseph Parker fight. I mean, I think Joseph Parker probably in hindsight could have gone a bit harder and really put it on him and got him out of there earlier, just like Zhang did. Yeah, I just think the losses to Fury did definitely take something out of him, and maybe vice versa as well. Maybe Tyson Fury wasn't the same after those fights with Wilder, or maybe he's just not as good as we thought either. But be good to see him back anyway, Dry Turk. I think it'll be good to see him still around the conversation, but he's got to look good. I still don't think no matter what happens on Friday night that he's in the top 10 of the current heavyweights, but he'll always be entertaining, won't he? So, all right, Young Guns. Paro wins this week. Do you see Kambosos against Paro match up next with you front row? I'd like to be front row, Young Guns. Yeah, well, I think, first of all, Paro wins this fight. I think he'll win that quite comfortably. I've had a really good look at his opponent. Just like I've had a really good look at Liam Wilson's opponent. So he's got Jonathan Navarro, hasn't he? He's been really hit and miss. I think he's only had, he had like a 5-year hiatus, and then he's had 2 fights since he's been back. This is Jonathan Navarro. Very, very limited, though. I think it's a good opponent for Liam. I think Liam will have a really good win over Jonathan Navarro, and we'll see what happens after that. As far as Kambosos goes, look, I think Kambosos is the only logical fight. Sorry, if Kambosos wants to continue, Paro is the most logical fight. I don't see George wanting to come back and fighting a Liam Wilson or anyone else in Australia. I think he would still want to be at the level, but the problem is he's not at the level anymore, is he? I think that's pretty obvious. So I think a Liam Paro fight makes a lot of sense. If I'm being honest, I sort of see it a little bit like Tim Tszyu when he fought Jeff Horn. You've got the ex-champion really in the twilight of his career, not really at the level anymore, but still a big name, especially here in Australia. And you've got the heir apparent in Liam Paro, just like Tim Tszyu was to Jeff Horn. And I think we'd get a similar type of result. If I'm being honest, I think Liam Paro would punish George Kambosos, and I think would probably stop George, I would think. Or would he stop him? I think he would. I think maybe 7, 8, 9 rounds Liam would get to him and get him out of there. Now, I've been a big fan of George. This is certainly not a go at him, but when your time comes, it comes. I just think he's done fantastic things for Australian boxing. Love him or hate him, I don't care. I don't think you can deny the fact that George Kambosos has been absolutely fantastic for this country, just like Jeff Horn was, just like Jeff Fennick was, and Danny Green and Anthony Mundy and all those fighters from the past. I think he's been great. And just like Jeff Horn did 4 years earlier, he really just just dragged Australian boxing into the limelight with his win over Teofimo Lopez, didn't he? So, but having said that, I think Liam Paro stops George Kambosos if and when they do fight down the track. All right, Tony. Piers Morgan asked some of the most stupid, awkward, and downright rude questions, especially to Terence Crawford. Why did he get an hour with the two of them instead of a real boxing journal? I was thinking the same thing, Tony. Look, I didn't watch the whole interview. I've seen snippets of the interview. And you're right. The Piers Morgan is not a boxing person. He probably takes an interest in boxing, just like a lot of journalists here do, but not really an expert. But I'm with you there. Why didn't they put Crawford and Canelo on with Max Kellerman or someone like that? Not that other dickwad. What's his name on ESPN? Sean A. Smith or whatever the hell his name is. Just a peanut. But Max Kellerman would have been good. There's plenty of other people out there they could have put them on with, but someone that actually knew or knows boxing and knows the questions to ask. I mean, these guys must get so sick of being asked stupid questions. So, I didn't like it. Normally, Piers Morgan is a good interviewer, Tony, but he's probably one of those types of journalists who he has to know what he's talking about to have maximum, I suppose, result. And in this case, while he might be a boxing fan, he's not really boxing informed, if that makes sense. So, as I said, man, I didn't see it all, but I think they could have done better as far as who they got to interview them. All right, Drew, I've been hearing all sorts of opinions that Crawford versus Canelo will break all-time boxing viewing numbers. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. Mate, I'm 100% with you there. I don't think anything could be further from the truth, that's going to do massive numbers. Now, actually, having said that, it will do massive numbers because it's free. It's free on Netflix. I did say again on Walking Boxing that if the Tyson and Jake Paul fight had 65 million watching, I would think this would be about 20 million. And that's probably being enthusiastic about it, probably being a bit generous, I think, that they would get 20 million, maybe 15 million. I mean, again, it is free. There are a lot of boxing fans out there, not so much the crossover appeal that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson have. Actually, having said that, now that I've said it out loud, if Jake Paul and Mike Tyson got 65 million views or per household or per device or whatever it might be, I'm thinking maybe 12 to 15. Yeah, that's probably the extent of it, I would think. You wouldn't think that, even though Canelo is a big boxing star, he's not a Mike Tyson. He hasn't got that crossover appeal of all the current fans and previous, casual fans, if that's what you want to call them. And Terence Crawford certainly is not a Jake Paul. So, you would think that percentage-wise it would do about maybe 20% of what that did, the Tyson-Paul fight, which what's that making? About 13 million views. I think that's around the mark. I don't think, even though they're obviously going to try and, again, guys, sorry if I go out here, but it's starting to rain. You probably can't hear it through the microphone, but it's starting to rain very heavily. So if I just go blank, that's why. But, I don't see the appeal in it. I know this morning they tried, or the press conference in New York, they tried their hardest to try and get the ball rolling, but I think like most people out there, I saw it as contrived. I thought it was manipulated. It was forced. And I just don't think the chemistry is there between the two. And have you noticed that? You need the chemistry. Tyson and Paul, as bad of a matchup as that was, they had chemistry. Canelo and Crawford have zero. Now, I'm a massive fan of Terence Crawford. I'm a massive fan of Canelo. Canelo has got aura. He's got what would you call it? He's just got it. Canelo's got it. Unfortunately for Terence Crawford, he's a great fighter, but he has no appeal. He has no aura. He has no pizzazz, whatever you might want to call it. And that's the reason why I think this fight will really struggle to sell. The boxing fans will love it. They really will, because on paper, this is a fantastic fight. This is, in my opinion, the most marketable and best fight probably since Mayweather and Pacquiao. I know you could probably argue with Bivol and Better Beef and maybe a couple others thrown in there as well. But for me, this is probably the most high-profile fight, I think, since, and this includes Fury and Usyk, by the way, as far as this mass appeal. I just think, Crawford and Canelo is a great match. The problem is, as I said, Crawford is just not marketable. He is the dullest of dull. This is nothing personal. Or is it personal? I suppose it is. I'm not trying to be personal. By all reports, he's a great guy. And I did meet him years ago. He was nice to me and everything else. I didn't see him while he was in Australia, but he's as a marketable fighter, he's just not it. Canelo is going to have to, in my opinion, do all this by himself. And the only contribution that maybe Crawford's going to have is what we saw at the press conference. A bit of in your face, a bit of chesting, maybe the odd comment here or there. Maybe he'll leave it up to his team, his entourage to do it all for him. I don't know. But I just really struggle to see the fight having or getting any traction. Also, the press conference today was fantastic as far as the optics goes. I thought it was awesome with the massive billboard, and I thought they did it really, really well. And Dana White, of course, is involved. You wouldn't expect anything less. But to me, it still didn't change the fact that I'm just waiting for the spark between the two. I sound like I'm a matchmaker or a romantic matchmaker. You don't know, there's no sparks, but there's just not. So far, I just haven't seen the connection between the two fighters. And this is what every big fight needs, by the way. It's one thing just to have that on paper and go, well, Canelo versus Crawford, but you've got to have the chemistry. Ali Fraser, Holmes Cooney, Tyson Spinks, Tyson Holyfield, Hagler Leonard, Mayweather Pacquiao. And that's probably, I think, arguably, apart from Ali Fraser and Hagler Leonard, Mayweather Pacquiao has the best chemistry I think I've ever seen in boxing. And this, if they're trying, and even, as I said, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, they had some chemistry. These guys have got zero. And that's why I think it's going to be a real hard sell. And if they can get above 15 million views on this, then it's job well done, in my opinion. But we will see. But I'm with you, mate. I'm certainly not drinking the Kool-Aid either. I think at the fight, they'll probably get, well, I was going to say, what's a whole 65,000 people. I think they'll probably end up filling it because they'll give a lot of tickets away. I don't think they could sell 65,000 tickets to this. I'm sure the tickets will be relatively cheap because they'll want to fill it. There's no use getting the Allegiant Stadium and puffing your chest out and saying we're going to have one of the biggest fights in years and you have 15 to 20,000 people pay to turn up. So I think the tickets will be cheap. I think there'll be a lot of comps from the casinos. I think there'll be a lot of tickets given away. And they'll get the 65,000, so it'll be good optically. But I would think as far as actual sales go, I'd be staggered if they hit 20,000. I really would. Yeah, or maybe 20. I was just going to say T-Mobile holds 20. I reckon they could fill that. So let's just say if they get up to maybe 25, I would be staggered as far as paying customers go. The real fight fans that make the track to get there. I'd be staggered if it's over 25,000. So there you go. That's my 2 cents anyway. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And hey, look, don't get me wrong. I'm really looking forward to the fight as far as the styles goes and, just being a typical, hardcore boxing fan. But, geez, if I was out there and I was just sort of 1 foot in and 1 foot out and just got the occasional boxing event, this is not really getting me excited, if I'm being honest. So we'll see. Drew, go the Swans. Yeah, they're hitting a bit of form there, aren't they, mate? All right, Asbot, is there any news on Murtazaliev coming back? Would love to see Tim get his revenge on that too. One step at a time, but if they did face off next, Barkram would have been inactive for a bit. Asbot, all I'm going to say, mate, who was it just then? Drew was talking about the Kool-Aid. Just keep the Kool-Aid on ice for the time being, mate. Don't get too caught up in how Tim looked in his last fight. I'm certainly not. Certainly when it comes to mentioning Barkram Murtazaliev. At the moment, and I'll ruffle a few feathers here, Tim does not deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as Barkram Murtazaliev. And I'm not trying to be controversial here, but that's just the fact. Tim looked good in his last fight against Spencer, but Spencer certainly isn't Murtazaliev, and look what happened in that fight. So I think that if Tim gets past Fundora, absolutely, then we have to reassess, because I'm holding my judgment until I see how he goes against Fundora. But at the moment, I can't even mention him in the same sentence as Murtazaliev. But you are right. Murtazaliev has been out for, what was it? Was it October last year? So it hasn't been that long, has it? What's that, 8 months? Nearly 9 months? But there are reports that he's going to be fighting Josh Kelly on the Crawford Canelo undercard. So that will be just under a year. So, but I'm just staggered though, Asbot, that he hasn't been able to get a fight in that time. You would have thought they'd be lining up. He's got the belt. It's such a stacked division. I think Erickson Lubin still is mandatory. Yes, he is number 1 ranked. He's obviously not too interested, so he'll go to the next highest ranked opponent, and that is Josh Kelly. But after that, will it be a Boachok or one of these types of guys? But yeah, look, I'd like nothing better for Tim to actually fight Murtazaliev down the track, but we're a long way from it, mate. A long, long way from it. Tim has to beat Fundora. Now, maybe they would love the revenge fight with Murtazaliev, and that's great. I hope he gets it, and I hope he beats Murtazaliev. But the facts are, at the moment, we just have to just put it to the side, mate. We just cannot even discuss it because it's not worth discussing at the moment. Eminem, can you see Liam Wilson winning a world title? Good question, Eminem. Well, look, nothing's impossible. He's had 2 really good cracks at it, hasn't he? Where is he ranked at the moment? He's not ranked at lightweight, by the way. Still ranked at 130, although I'm just going to look at when the last rankings came out. The IBF was June 16, okay, so recently. WBA was June 1st, WBC June the 2nd, WBO hasn't been updated for a month. All right, well, let's go down to, as I said, he's not rated at lightweight where he's now campaigning. He's at 130 still, and I think he's only rated by the WBO from memory. So he's ranked, is that lightweight? Sorry, I'm going to 1. All right, so he's ranked number 4 by the WBO, and I think that's it. No, sorry, I take that back. He's ranked number 5 with the IBF. Now, I know he's aiming for Navarrete. He's obviously got the Suarez rematch coming up, so it puts him out of commission for probably a year. So maybe it's Eduardo Nunes, the IBF champion. He is ranked I was going to say he's ranked number 5, but the number 1 ranking, surprise, surprise, is vacant, and the number 2 is not rated. So I don't know how that works. Number 1 is vacant. Number 2 is not rated. So technically he's the number 3 challenger. Above him are Raymond Ford and Sultan Zawabek. So and Jackson, actually I just saw that. Yeah, Jackson John England is actually ranked just under him at number 6. So look, very possible that he will get another opportunity, Eminem, but just in my opinion, I think it'll be tough. I'm really hoping he can win a world title. But I think, look, we all know the Navarrete fight. That was just such an injustice of what happened in that fight. But we still can't get past the fact that Navarrete did then stop Liam after that. We can't get past, I suppose, also that in the other fight he was stopped again by Oscar Valdez. I must admit, though, I did see some improvements, Eminem, from Liam in his last fight with Dib. Now I know it's only use of Dib, and it's not Valdez or Navarrete, but to me he looked a lot more patient. He still takes a lot more punches than what I would like him to, but I did see a little bit more patience there, a little bit more setting up the punches, not as reckless, and I know that's what they were working on. So I'm interested to see how he looks on Wednesday night. He looks in really good condition, looks in a really good frame of mind. So I'm hoping he looks impressive on Wednesday and then maybe gets that shot. But it's always tough winning a world title, Eminem. If I had to be honest to say, can I see him? I'm hopeful more than expecting Eminem, but I just hope he gets another crack at it. I really do. And then if he gets a crack at it, anything can happen, can't it? So he's got that left hook, hasn't he? I saw a video of him today just for some highlights, and one of them was actually on my show back in 2018 against, was it Quadros, I think his name was, and he just starched him with a left hook. Well, I would say to anyone fighting Liam Wilson, just look out for the lazy right, because after the lazy right's coming a whipping left hook. That's a common denominator with a lot of those knockouts. He throws just a soft little right hand, and then he throws the cracking left hook after that, and he just gets you out of there. So he's always got that up his sleeve. So we will see Eminem, but I really hope he gets another shot. I really do. What's that, Tony? To Asbot. Tim doesn't want anything to do with the Chechen. That's Murtazaliev, and I don't blame him. He's better off putting that behind him. Yeah, well, we'll see. Carl, how are you there, mate? The boxing kangaroo. Geez, I was impressed with Francisco Rodriguez. Absolutely boxed Galal Yafai, wasn't it? What's his name? I know the one you talk. Yeah, ears and head clean off. What's his? Is Yafai? Is that? Hang on, let me have a look. What? I've got a mental blank here. What was it like? Flyweight or something, wasn't it? Where is it? Was a flyweight there, Carl? Fill me in. I didn't see the fight, mate, so I can't sort of comment, I'm afraid. I can't find him there. Nope. Anyway, I didn't see it, Carl. Sorry, just drifting off there. I'll check out the replay, Carl, or at least the highlights, mate. But by all accounts, I did read some articles, and apparently it was impressive, so I'll check it out. Kane Mack, g'day. All quiet weekend of boxing, but that Norman Jr. KO was crazy. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And it was interesting that Sasaki couldn't remember. Was it 6 weeks or 6 months or something? I think it was 6 weeks before the fight. So he got hit hard, hit very, very hard, and just one of those knockouts that, I mean, you don't really want to see. But I don't understand why the referee counted. By the way, he actually went down and he pointed to the corner and then started to count. I don't understand why you would bother in that instance. It should just be immediately over. I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to know that he was gone. But bad knockout came. I'm not buying into Norman suddenly being, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, but it was very impressive, and he did what he had to do. He did take the opportunity of saying that Boots Ennis had run from him. I don't think that's the case. I think it was obviously just the weight. But he might be the man at 147, Kane, because that left hook, very, very impressive. All right, Tom's dad, Naz. Evening all. I read today that poor old Jin Sasaki, has 6 weeks of memory loss. Hoping he recovers okay. Certainly doesn't leave anything in the ring. Well, it was an entertaining fight, wasn't it? It was a really good fight. Sasaki, just like the Japanese fighters, they go out on the sword, don't they? But, it was just a bad knockout. He just looked, again, it's a lesson to all the young fighters out there. Do not step back with your chin in the air when you come out of an exchange with your chin in the air, because that's what's going to happen in that fight. The classic one you'll see is Mike McCallum knocking out Donald Curry. That's probably the best example. But Sasaki did it the same way. Not as bad as what Donald Curry did, but he certainly pulled out with his chin up in the air and lights out. So I really do hope he's okay too, Naz. By all accounts, he will be, but we'll keep the fingers crossed there, mate. Drew, lots of people are expressing concern for Crawford bulking up and taking away from his strengths. That said, who are we to question his methods? Yeah, by all accounts, Drew, I've heard that he's not going to bulk up to the full 168. This is the misconception or perception with a lot of people, is that Crawford's going to bulk up and hit the weights and hit the carbs and all that sort of stuff. From what I've heard and what I could probably understand and I agree with, why do that when all it does is negate yourself? Now, his assets are his foot speed, his hand speed, his combination punching, all that sort of stuff. He does switch. He does lots of different things, does Crawford. So why weigh yourself down? I think one of the Charlos might have said, it might be the older one, Jamal said that in his opinion, Jamal was the one that fought him, said it's a waste of time and the wrong strategy just to focus on bulking up, because that's not what's going to beat Canelo. And I would think, if anything, Crawford will want to be nice and lean. Yep, he's probably going to get in there at about 165, 166, something like that. But I think his focus is going to be on, yes, being strong, but it's about the speed, because he's not going to beat Canelo by bulking up and hitting the weights and all that sort of stuff. He's going to beat Canelo by just being Terence Crawford. So while he's got to put the weight on to make the weight, I think he walks around at 180 or something anyway, doesn't he? So you would think that really what will happen here is he's just not going to have to really boil down to 147 or 154. So yeah, I would think that would not be the case, Drew, that he will bulk up. Yep, I think it'll all just be about speed and hand movement or combination punching, lateral movement. No. What are they saying? The Tom and Jerry stuff? That's not Terence Crawford anyway. He's never been that type of fighter to run. And I could understand him being pissed the other day and insulted. That would even be raised, by the way, that question about is he going to run, especially with this stupid thing that Turki Al-Sheikh's on about at the moment. But I'm thinking we're going to see a fuller Terence Crawford, because he's obviously not going to be he's going to be 15 pound or whatever heavier than what he normally is, which is about 7 kilos. But I still think he'll be in very, very good condition, Drew, and I think he's a massive chance to beat Canelo, and not just beat him conclusively. Now, who knows what's going to happen when they get in the ring? No one knows. But if I had to say right here and now, and I know a lot of people will probably think I'm crazy, I think that Crawford has the ability to really lay a smackdown on Canelo. Maybe not stop him or anything like that, but to really give him a touch-up for 12 rounds. But we will see. So here we are talking about it already, aren't we? See, the shove at the press conference has paid dividends, because here we are all talking about it. All right, Naz. Having deja vu of when Crawford moved up to 54 and Boots missed out. Now Boots moves up and Norman misses his shot. Yeah, that's boxing, no, Naz. Everything has a habit of coming around. If you hang in there and you keep at it and you keep active, your opportunities come, Naz. So I think with Boots, I would be thinking, and I don't blame him for looking at someone like a Norman. Now they'd be very confident he would beat Norman anyway, but I would be thinking they'd be saying, well, all right, well, if Ryan Garcia's out of the picture, Roller Romero, who cares? Teofimo Lopez looks like he's going to stay at 140 for the time being. Now he doesn't have Boots. Boots didn't want to fight Lopez, did he? Well, wherever it is. But Boots would look at it and go, no, all these fights aren't sort of happening for me now. I'm going to go to 154 where I'm going to be comfortable, I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to fight some of the really good fighters there. Because I think he would look at Norman going, yeah, he's a capable fighter, he's dangerous, but why take the risk on someone that's dangerous? And the appeal for the fight wouldn't be that big anyway, I don't think. So I'm all for Boots moving up and going to 154, and Norman's just going to have to wait his turn, like I said, and hopefully it could be a Romero, it could be a Lopez, it could be Conor Benn, could be numerous fighters, but I think he will be the man at 147, and then I suppose he's just got to hang in there, doesn't he? Where are we? I'll just go to 147. So with Boots gone, so he's got the IBF and WBA belt, so it looks like Romero will be elevated to full champion. Barrios and Pacquiao. Look, I'm expecting Barrios to beat Manny Pacquiao, so maybe they've got to make this is Norman I'm talking about, has to make the end game being Barrios if he wins, or maybe Romero. I would think they would be the two fights that he should aim for. So there's still some good opportunities for Norman out there. And as I said, not just those two guys, Romero and Barrios. You got Haney, who might move up there as well, or he's up there at the moment. Actually, Haney's ranked number 1 with the WBC. I just saw there. So he's still got Haney, still got Conor Benn, possibly Ryan Garcia. There's still some options there for him. So I don't see it as really him missing out, Naz. I just think it's about timing. And Boots is just looking after himself. But again, there'll be plenty of fights for Norman at 147. Did I answer that question there? I don't know. I went around in circles a bit there, didn't I? All right, Carl. Boots sounds weird. 1 minute he's unifying 147. Then a month later, when fights start happening, he says he can't make 147 anymore, and he's going to 154. Didn't they offer Boots the Virgil fight? They did. I've got a feeling, Carl, that it was Virgil Ortiz or Oscar De La Hoya who said not quite yet for Boots Ennis. You've got to remember, Virgil Ortiz is coming off the Boachuk fight and the Madrimon fight, and I'm pretty sure Oscar said that he wanted more of maybe a step backwards fight. Not backwards, but maybe a slightly lighter touch for his next fight, and then they will look at a Boots Ennis after that, or maybe a Zhu Fundora, or who else is there at 154? So, of course, yeah, well, Zhu Fundora, you would think that would be the fight. I think Virgil Ortiz will have one more, like a tune-up fight, and I would think he'd be more looking at the winner of Zhu and Fundora than Boots Ennis for starters. I mean, he's the interim WBC champion at the moment, so he'll want the full belt. Then I would think maybe it's Boots Ennis that maybe challenges a Murtazaliev or someone like that. Maybe it's to get his belt, and then we might see a little mini knockout comp between Murtazaliev and Ortiz and Boachuk and Tszyu, Fundora. Either way, mate, we're going to see some great fights. But I don't think that they offered bouts Virgil. I think, as I said, Virgil's team said, nah, we don't want anyone like that next. We want an easier touch, and then we'll look at guys after that. So, all right, Richard, how are you there, mate? I agree with you on walking boxing. The whole setup looked great, but it was a bit much. Still can't believe Dana White is in the boxing world now. Well, he did it well, Richard. What I liked about him, I liked that he took charge, like, hey, this is my event. Don't even try and get him my space. The guy with the Ring magazine, was it Rick Reno? Is that his name? I think that's his name. Those guys, get out the way. I think he said to Rick Reno, give me the belt, which would have horrified Rick Reno because he loves getting up there in front of the cameras. But Dana White said, give me the belt, and he's put it up. He handed it back and said, that's enough, get rid of it. I like the way he goes about it. I like the way he runs the show. It all worked to clockwork. The whole spectacle was awesome. And when Dana White's in charge, you know it's about the event, not necessarily about himself. Yes, I know he likes to get in the photos and all that sort of stuff, but he just has a little different presence for me anyway than what we get with Oscar and Eddie and those types of guys. For me, with those guys, it's like, like they're just the sideshow almost, where Dana White's front and center, like, I'm the man, this is my show and my organisation, and here we are, but without stealing the limelight from the fighters. I think he really engages and gets more involved in it and just doesn't stand there with a stupid smile on his face. I like it. I even like the fact he gets in there, he's got the arm in there, pretending to hold them back. I just think he does it really, really well. I'm not stressed about him being in boxing, mate. I actually like the fact he's in boxing. I don't like the TKO concept they're talking about of just mirroring the UFC. I don't think it'll work in boxing. I don't see how it'll work when you've got other promoters out there with other fighters. I don't like the whole thing in theory. But if he sets up his whole structure, I suppose, maybe he's just got the long-term result where he's just waiting for everyone to maybe leave the De La Hoyas and Hearns and make their way over to what he's doing. Maybe that's the long-term goal rather than just try and snatch everyone at the start. But either way, I like it. I like Dana White, and I'm really glad he's in the boxing rearm now, mate, because I think he's going to give Oscar and Eddie just something to think about a little bit. You know, I still love those promoters, by the way, but I'm hoping what it does is make them raise the bar higher. I'm not sure where Oscar is in the scheme of things either, by the way, because I don't think Turki Al-Sheikh was very happy with his comments about Dana White and a few other bits and pieces, and the fight being in daylight. This is Crawford and Canelo and everything else. And the way he spoke about Oscar probably wasn't as complimentary as it normally is. But I still want... I want Dana in there to make Eddie and Oscar just raise the bar again, even higher. So I'm all for it, Richard. But, mate, as long as we're getting the fights and everything else, I don't care. I don't care who's promoting it. So, all right, Polly the Farmer. The Norman knockout of Sasaki wasn't good, and it looked like the ref sent Norman to the neutral corner and started counting out Sasaki's corpse. That's what it looked like, Polly. I mean, as soon as he hit the deck, the referee just sort of should have waved it off. Not even bothering to count. Just waved it off. Right there and then. And obviously then, like, where the hell's the doctor? Get your ass in here and let's get this guy sorted. And he was the closest of anyone. Now, we could see it watching from home that he was out cold. So I don't know what the hell the referee was doing by going, oh, geez, you right there, mate? All right, well, I suppose I better send him to the corner and start counting. Did he get to 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever the hell it was? I think he might have got to 2. And he went, yeah. Well, the fact he's not moving and his eyes are rolling back in his head and his arms are stretched straight out, I reckon he might be out for the night. So, and that's when I think the referee should really get a talking to afterwards by the powers that be. I don't know who it is, the combat board or wherever it is. Not that they can do much anyway, I suppose. But say, mate, what are you thinking? The guy's knocked out. Wave it off and get the doctor's ass in the ring and let's go. That's what he's there for. But anyway, I like that. Started counting Sasaki's corpse. All right, Rayleigh Frame. How are you, Rayleigh? Welcome to the show. Hi, I watched Piers Morgan interview with Crawford and Canelo and found it unusual for Crawford to say he thinks he has a 70% chance of winning. He's usually more confident than that. Maybe he's a... Where was it? Have I missed the rest of your comment there? I can't see it there. Maybe he's a what? I can't see it. Anyway, it was strange, Rayleigh, I will say, to say he only had a 70% chance of winning. Not the thing, again, it's probably not the sort of thing you want your fighters saying in the lead up to a fight. I would have thought that Dana White and Turkey Al-Sheikh would have been going, oh my God, especially Dana White. This is what he does for a living. Fighters shouldn't be up there saying they have 70% chance of winning. They should be saying, hey, I've got a 100% chance of winning. I'm a better fighter than him and I'll prove it on the night. I don't think, or did he say the same question to Canelo? There's no way Canelo would be saying he has a 70% chance of winning. He'd be saying I have a 100% chance of winning. But, look, yeah, as we said earlier, Rayleigh, I don't think it was the right platform to have both the guys on in such an important type of interview. And I'm surprised that, the powers that be allowed Piers Morgan. I know why they would have done it for Piers Morgan. It's because of the eyeballs on it. Piers Morgan has a massive reach. Probably have, I can't even think of how many subscribers and viewers and all that sort of, he would have, but it would be a lot. So that's why they would have put them on that show. But again, you've got to have the right questions asked. I just don't think Piers Morgan hit the mark. Richard, I would like to see Wilder versus Joshua. Yes, and there is talks that may be the case, Richard. Look, 5 years ago, maybe. Not so sure now. Joshua's, I think, still got hopes of fighting Tyson Fury, but he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Who knows with Tyson? I've got a slight suspicion we still might see this fight, Richard. I reckon Tyson Fury would be the one they're after, but if he wants to muck them around, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Deontay Wilder at the end of the year, mate, to fight Anthony Joshua. And I'd like to see it, because at the end of the day, style-wise, you have to back Joshua, but Wilder's still got that right hand. And Joshua has been, he's been stopped a couple of times, hasn't he? So it's a risky one for him. He has been rocked and dropped and stopped and everything else. So I'd like to see it. I really would. So if Fury Joshua can't happen, then strangely enough, I'm with you. I'd like to see Wilder and Joshua. Drew says, I essentially think Wilder and Fury finished each other with the punishing trilogy. Yeah, I do to some extent there too, Drew. I agree. Carl says, Deontay Wilder fighting this weekend against who I got no idea, and being promoted by I got no idea who. Yeah, it's in, where is it? I'll look it up here. Is it in some outback town, Wichita or something? Hang on, we'll have a look. We'll have a look at who he's fighting. I'm not sure it's even televised, is it? All right, Deontay Wilder, not the brown bomber, the bronze bomber. He's fighting Terrell Anthony Herndon. Now, the event is taking place, yes, it is in Wichita, Kansas. The boxing mecca. I don't recognise anyone else on that card. Just having a quick look there. No, there's a fair few fights on the card, though. There's 2, 4, 6... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fights on the card. It's got the nickname, the event of Legacy Reloaded. And the matchmaker, what is it? The promoter, Trigon Combat and Global Combat Collective are the promoters. So no idea who they are. But it's commission is the Kansas Athletic Commission. So there's all the particulars. Let's have a quick look at Terrell Anthony Herndon. 24-5. He's been knocked out 4 times. Not a good thing when you're coming in against Deontay Wilder. He was knocked out. Oh, there you go. He's knocked out in 2 rounds by Richard Torres Jr. in 23. He was knocked out in 1 round by Corey Barlow in 2019. He was 2-4-2, Corey Barlow. Lost by disqualification, lost by KO to Effie Ajagba back in 2017. So he's been around a while. And lost by a 3rd round knockout to Shamarian Snyder. There you go. All right, so we'll see. Looks like they've picked a good opponent for Deontay Wilder to get a highlight reel KO. Carl, Paro Cambosis would be good. Certainly would be. What are you talking about there, Angry Mexican? I'm not sure. We don't really want those types of comments there, mate. No, we don't want that one. All right, Asbot. What's it? If it came around and was a unification bout, this is Murtazaliev and Tszyu, Tim would want that smoke, I reckon. I would think he would want a couple of confidence builders first, though, Asbot. I think even if he beats Fundora, I don't think they're going to want to go straight to Murtazaliev. And, maybe it might be the best opportunity for him to get Murtazaliev, considering that he hasn't fought since they fought, and this will be Tim's second fight. I just think that Tim's team, so Team Tszyu 2, would be a little bit more cautious this time on who they let Tim fight. They caught flack for the Fundora fight the first time because, 10 days notice, and they went from fighting Thurman to Fundora, and the size difference was just massive. But I don't begrudge them taking that fight. I know they got a lot of criticism after the fact. His team in the corner deserved a lot of criticism for letting the fight go on when they should have clearly stopped the fight. But I don't begrudge them taking the fight because it was Tim's first big fight in Vegas, headlining at T-Mobile Arena. They would have backed him to beat Fundora anyway, so I got no dramas with that whatsoever. But the Murtazaliev fight, putting in with him only a few months after the Fundora fight, and probably underestimating Murtazaliev, I think they won't be as quick to put him in with someone like that again. Having said that, though, they have talked about Virgil Ortiz, haven't they? I wouldn't be surprised if he beats Fundora. Then they'll maybe take the Thurman fight. Then maybe look at Ortiz or someone like that. Or maybe they do a trilogy. Who knows? But maybe at some stage I want the smoke, Asbot, but we will see. Naz, I know a lot of people find Crawford bland, and I can see it, but I personally like his quiet assuredness and calm confidence. It shows his opponent there's nothing they can do to rattle him. Mate, I get that. No problem at all. I do like that about him myself. I've never been one that just likes the fighter because of the way they carry on outside the ring and everything else. I've got no dramas with it, but we're trying to sell a fight here. That's probably my point. I like his assuredness like you and his calm confidence, and that's great in a normal setting. If he's the champion and he's defending his title against somebody, a mandatory challenger, and it's whatever, no drama. I get that. But we're trying to sell supposedly one of the biggest fights in the last couple of decades here. This is not the way to do it. But having said that too, I would rather not have the promoters and organisers and everyone else forcing Crawford to do what he did with Canelo and get in his face. I think that's almost worse than not doing anything at all. I would maybe get, if I was in his team, to say to Crawford, hey mate, just don't be scared to have your say and talk yourself up and all the rest of it. But to get him to get in Canelo's face and almost instigate that push and shove, I didn't like that at all. Because again, it looked a bit forced. So, but yeah, I'm certainly not against his demeanor. But in this case here, yeah, I think it just doesn't suit him. Carl. Bring it up north and we'll fill the stadium. Is this... Oh, this is... Which fight you're talking about there, Carl? Is that Crawford and Canelo? Let me know, Carl. You're going to the fights this weekend. Where are you? It's in Cairns, isn't it? I think you might be in Townsville, are you? So, but anyway, I hope far north Queensland get behind. It looks like a really good stadium up there too. Really good. I'm not sure how many they get in there. It looks like maybe 3,000 or 4,000. So that should be great. Drew says, I think Kambosos will fight Paro and then retire with his one last payday. Respect to George. When it's time, it's time. Yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. Yep. And he's been great for Australian boxing. And even if you don't like him, you'd have to agree that even with his mouth over there and what he brings to it, he's been great for Aussie boxing. He really has. Julian, Buckram is too powerful for Tim. Buckram is a fearless elite fighter at light middleweight division. Yeah, the Chechen fighters, Julian, they are just something else. They really are. They all look a little bit casual, I suppose, but they have so much faith in their own ability and their powers and everything else. And Buckram, I'll tell you one thing. As soon as I see a fighter get in the ring and they've got one of those Chechen beards and they've got a last name that I can't pronounce, I'm worrying about the opponent because they can all fight. Whether it be UFC or boxing, whatever it might be. And that's probably why you got to give Iman Kade a chance against Morrell, David Morrell, who they're fighting in New York, because he's from that mould. So on paper, you'd have to, well, by looking at him just on paper, you'd have to say Morrell, but you'd have to give Kade a chance, wouldn't you? So, but yeah, that's what I said, Julian, before, that at the moment, I just don't think you can mention sort of Tim in the same sort of sentence as Barkram, but I'm sure that will change at some stage. And then if Tim gets his opportunity, great, but at the moment, not in the conversation. Sam Nixon, how are you, Sam? Just hope Zurdo takes the fight with Jai after his next fight and does not chase the money and look to fight Jake Paul. Yeah, well, there's a couple of roadblocks there for Jai, isn't there? Because you've also got David Benavidez, who's talking about fighting Zurdo as well. And I would think that Jai would be third on that list. I think that Zurdo would like to fight Jake Paul because that's where the money is. I think he'd like to fight David Benavidez because that's, the whole Mexican thing. And David Benavidez is still a bigger name than what Jai is. It would probably present more money, a lot of risk, but more money. And then you'd have Jai after that, who's a very, very dangerous guy. But the payday, well, I was just going to say maybe the payday wouldn't be what he would like, but I'm sure it'd be still massive. I'm sure the Saudis would make that certain. I would think, though, that Zurdo would be looking at Jai thinking, I don't want to fight this guy unless I absolutely have to. I know he's a warrior. Mexicans all are. They don't care who they fight. But I know it sounds silly, but I think Zurdo would prefer to fight David Benavidez rather than Jai. Just by their styles. I think David Benavidez would be a little bit easier for Zurdo to work out because he's just straight ahead, nothing flash about Benavidez, where Jai gives you multiple dimensions. He can box, he can punch, he can move, he can do all sorts of things. So that's why I don't think Jai would be high on his list of preferred opponents. All right, Richard, Max Kellerman would roll his eyes when Stephen A. Smith would correct him about boxing on the show ages back. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith, look, he's a classic case of a guy who is a very, very casual boxing observer, thinks he knows it all because he's on TV. But like a lot of boxing journalists, journalists that cover other sports, and especially someone like Stephen A. Smith who covers so many sports over there, boxing would be about 6th on his list of priorities, and you can tell when he talks about boxing. And especially when, I know it's not the be-all and end-all, but if you've seen Stephen A. Smith on the pads, I'm sure we've all seen the video of him out there on the pads, I really wouldn't be pretending to be some sort of boxing expert when you look like that on the pads. And I would also not be posting stuff like that if I look like that, by the way, on the pads. I can't play basketball, so you're not going to see me on my social media trying to slam dunk. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick to what I know. But yeah, and I really like Max Kellerman, Richard. I was pretty pissed when I saw that he got the chop because I think he knows boxing, and I can't believe ESPN got rid of him, to be honest. But I did see he hosted the Q&A the other day, didn't he? So let's hope he's involved in some sort of format. It'd be good to see Netflix pick him up and make him part of their team. All right, Mule. Jake Paul, Wilder fight week. Jake Paul, Wilder fight week. People, let's get rowdy. Jake Paul, Carter, Zurdo Ramirez, and Kid Austin. Yeah, Tevin Farmer, not bad. Yeah, I forgot about that too. That's this weekend. I'm assuming it's on during the. Well, it's in the States, isn't it? So yeah, it'll be Sunday, sort of around lunchtime. Let's have a quick look there. Jake Paul. Let's have a look at that card. Jake Paul. Can't believe I'm looking up Jake Paul's record. Fair income. The problem child. Yeah, good one, mate. All right, 11-1 with 11 stiffs. But anyway, where are we? Let's have a look at the event. So he's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez, who he will beat quite comfortably. All right, so yeah, okay, yeah. So we've got Floyd Schofield, Tevin Farmer. Should be a really good fight. We have Holly Holm making a comeback in the females. And there it is there, Zurdo Ramirez against Junior Dorticos. And that's probably the only ones I really recognise. Yes, they're probably the only ones I'm sort of really familiar with. So, yeah, so it's on DAZN. So check that out on Sunday here in Australia. You don't even joke about that, mate. making boxing great again. I tell you what, though, Mule, he's making female boxing, I won't say great again, but he's got it on the path to being great. That card in New York will be fantastic. And I'm just going to quickly bring that up as well, because I'm going to be there. And the Madison Square Garden is almost sold out. I'm really looking forward to going to it, actually. All-female card. All right, so you got Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. What a fight. That'll be number 3. Ali Scottney against, is that Yamiath Mercado? Don't know much about Mercado, but Ali Scottney can certainly fight. We've got Alicia Baumgardner, Jennifer Miranda. That'll be a really good fight. Savannah Marshall, good to see her back. She's against Shadosia Green. Shanika Johnson up against Sharata Metcalf. So looking at that, at the world title fights, we've got the, where is it? The undisputed 140-pound title, so Taylor and Serrano. The undisputed 122-pound titles, which is Scottney and Mercado. The undisputed 130-pound world title, so 3 undisputed world title fights on that card. Actually, make that 4. Shanika Johnson and Metcalf is undisputed. So there's 4 undisputed world title fights on that card. Then you've got Savannah Marshall and Shadosia Green for the IBF and WBO. That is amazing. And you've also got Chantel Cameron, who's another great fight. She beat Katie Taylor. So she's fighting for the WBC interim 140-pound title. So technically there is 5 world title fights on that card. Just crazy. So I know women's boxing is not everyone's thing, and that's fine. And not really my thing either. I really like it at the absolute elite level, but not so much underneath. Just as my opinion. But this, we have 5 elite fights on there. And what did I say there? 3 undisputed world title fights. 1 for 2 belts and 1 for, no, hang on. Did I say, no, 4. 1, 2, 4 undisputed world title fights and 1 for 2 belts. And then 1 for an interim belt. That is amazing. All right, Eminem. Hope Chavez can dig deep for a wild KO this weekend. End that clown. Yeah, but then do we have to put up with Chavez calling out Jai and Zurdo and Benavides? I mean, hey, actually, having said that, I'd be quite prepared for Chavez to continue with his delusion if it means him beating Jake Paul. And when you think about it, if Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury, then surely Chavez has got anything left whatsoever. He should be able to beat Jake Paul. Chavez, look, back in the day, was actually a half-decent fighter. We all know his troubles in the last few years, but I can't see it, Eminem. I think there's no way that Jake Paul would be picking Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. if there was any chance whatsoever that Chavez could beat him. So there's Glenn in the chat. How are you, Glenn? All right, I know I'm a fair bit behind here, guys. I always am, but we'll see how we go. Tony says an Aussie journalist of sorts asked Turkey what's his name if he thought the Canelo Crawford fight was similar to Hearns versus Ray Leonard. Turkey totally ignored the question and spoke about Netflix. Well, Tony, that was the one and only Grant Tazzy Brown who asked that question. There's only 3 questions asked to Turkey Al-Sheikh, and one of them was from our man, Tazzy Brown. Don't forget where he started either, Tazzy. If he's watching tonight, started right here. It's good to see. He did ring me last week or the week before. Said he was going over there for it. So that was awesome that he got over there and asked the question. But I'm with you because I thought it was a good question from Tazzy. And the fight, the question was, with Crawford going up to 168, did he see a similar? It wasn't Hearns, it was Hagler. Tony, did he see a similarity between Sugar Ray Leonard going up and fighting Marvin Hagler at middleweight, coming up from 147/154 after 3 years out? And you're right, it totally ignored the question and just went off on a tangent about something and ended up talking about Netflix and didn't come close to answering the question. So, all right, I bet you Canelo Crawford is a boring letdown. Sorry, the KO bonus is a good idea, but I'm just too cynical. I'm with you, Asbot. I don't expect a great fight at all. But I'm looking forward to the fight. Now, I must admit, I didn't expect fireworks when Mayweather fought Pacquiao either, but I really look forward to it. Just so it was done. Now, this is intriguing on a whole lot of different fronts. is Canelo and Crawford. So, but having said that, I don't think it'll be an entertaining fight. I just don't. I just think it'll either be a bit of a snoozer as far as Crawford on the move and Canelo trying to hunt him down, and Crawford struggling to get out of first or second gear, or what I said before, Crawford does find his gear and absolutely hands it to Canelo. But either way, I can't really see a close decision, or I don't know. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't really know what to expect. I have no idea, which is why I'm looking forward to it. Two great fighters, great names. And this is why it's classified a super fight. The definition of a super fight, or the easiest way to describe to someone what makes a really good fight and what makes a super fight, is when you can't imagine either one losing. And I reckon this is the fight. I can't really imagine either one losing. Or maybe I can, but I can't definitively pick one over the other. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. And I think Turki Al-Sheikh's not really in danger of losing that KO bonus money, mate, but we'll see. What is that, $1 million, I think it was? Naz, yeah, poor old Tazzy got ignored big time. Was a good question too. Yeah, it was. He did get a selfie with him on stage though, Naz, so don't worry. He was up on stage with Turki Al-Sheikh. Although, Tazzy, if you're watching, mate, you don't have to say you love him, mate. All right? We all admire his excellency. You don't have to say you love him. I'm sure you'll get the press pass next time, mate. So, but he did say, I love you. All right, Tazzy. Well, hey, when you got press passes on the line, you got to do what you got to do. So, all right, Glenn, not so sure Bud's dull. He comes across as a laid-back guy that's not into the rubbish talk, but you're right, he doesn't sell. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Glenn. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'd probably be the same if I was up there as well. But what I'm saying is they're trying to present this fight as one of the biggest ever, and there's no chemistry or spark between the two. There's just not, and that's probably down to Terence Crawford. All right, Double G, how are you there, mate? You kind of hit on the same thing Bob Arum used to say about Crawford, as in marketable promotion, etc. He would often say that Crawford doesn't sell. Well, that's right, Double G. I think we all admire Crawford. We all think he's one of the greatest of our generation, and he is. But he doesn't sell. It just doesn't sell. That's just a fact. Now, this is why I don't blame him for moving up to 168 to get his legacy fight. Now, I know Errol Spence was his legacy fight, but there was a lot of question marks about Errol Spence and how he was tracking physically, mentally, whatever it might have been. And I don't think Crawford really liked that. I think he wanted his flowers, as they say, over there in America at the moment, which is why I think he wanted this fight. He wanted to fight Canelo. He wanted the money, but he also wanted the chance to prove his greatness. And that's great. But it doesn't mean it's going to sell. It just doesn't. He's just not a marketable guy. That's just a fact. So, and they've always been there. They always have. But you just get those type of guys sometimes, don't you? Ado says Spence Crawford had the chemistry. You're right, Ado. They did. They had real good chemistry. They really did. Isn't it amazing how you can have chemistry with one guy but not with another? And maybe it's the fact that Canelo's normally the type that is more reactive to his opponent, because Crawford's the same. Even though Errol Spencer's not usually the trash-talking guy either, they sort of meshed together really well, and there was a lot of back and forth. I think that was the difference as well. They had a lot of history. This is the difference as well. Crawford and Spence, the fight had been brewing for ages. They've been running their careers parallel to each other. A lot of, stuff on social media and in person and everything else. So we had the build-up. There was a bit of a storyline to it. This is just out of the blue. We're going to get you, and we're going to get you. All right, guys, let's go. And because they're similar type of personalities, similar type of auras, I suppose, it's just like the two magnets that just aren't going together at the moment. That's why I can best describe it. You're right. Spence and Crawford, hey, Glock, magnets, beautiful. Canelo, Triple G, Canelo, Mayweather, really good chemistry. But in this one, it's just not happening, and I doubt it's going to happen. What's that, Tony? He got fresh-aired big time. Personally, I thought it was a stupid question. Yeah, that was a stupid question. Is that you talking about Tazzy? Okay. I thought it was a good question. But anyway, because it sort of did have relevance, didn't it? Don't know. A little bit better than the question that Crawford got asked about with the Tom and Jerry thing with the running. As I said, I don't blame him for being pissed. All right, who else we got there? Mule. What do you think about Turkey doing incentive bonuses for KOs? And I heard performance of the night to get guys to bring more excitement like UFC does. Plus in an 18 by 18 foot ring sounds action-packed. Yeah, look, I'm not against it. I really don't want it to become UFC or professional wrestling or something like that. I know here in Australia, No Limit have done it a few times as well. I don't mind it. I still don't think it's going to change the game plan of either guy at all, though. Do you really think a $1 million bonus is really going to cut it for these guys who are probably sharing a couple of $100 million? Do you really think $1 million is going to make them change their tact? Do you think that, let's just say it's Terence Crawford. Well, shit, I'm getting paid $80 million, but there's an extra $1 million up for grabs, so I'm gonna brawl with this guy. It just doesn't make sense. And same as Canelo. Well, he's going to try and knock Crawford out. There's no doubt about that. But it just doesn't make sense that way. The 18 by 18 foot ring is pretty good. I would have thought though, for the main event, well, a fight of this magnitude, I understand some of the Riyadh season cards where they could probably do it. I think they've got to be fair to both guys here, especially considering Crawford is giving up the whole hydration argument. He's not making Canelo hydrate at all, or not rehydrate up to his maximum weight. So I think they could have a little bit to say, well, I think to be fair all around, we'll have a 20 by 20 foot ring. I mean, they go up to 24 by 24. Most of the time it's either 20 or 22. But yeah, for someone that apparently is a big fan of Terence Crawford, and according to Canelo, is on, well, Crawford's part of Turkey sort of team, you would have thought that Turkey would give him a little bit more of a chance of putting him in maybe a little bit bigger ring. And having said that, though, I mean, a 20 by 20 foot ring is really not going to do much more than an 18 by 18 foot ring, though, is it? But I don't mind the incentives. I don't mind little carrots to put out there to make the guys fight a little bit more. I get it, but a $1 million bonus certainly is not going to even get the attention of Canelo and Crawford, I wouldn't have thought. Who's forking out the $50 for Jake Paul and Chavez Jr.? I will be for the undercard. So it's going to cost $50. You actually got to pay for an M&M. All right. Will I pay $50? No, I will not. M&M? No, I'm not going to pay it. I just won't pay for a Jake Paul fight. Well, if they had, say it was Zurdo and Jai or something on the undercard, well, of course I'm going to pay for that. But I wouldn't watch Jake Paul fight. Maybe that's what I'll do, mate. Although I'm not even going to do that. I don't think the undercard's worth $50 M&M. Not when I can watch it on YouTube an hour or two later. I'm not going to give that guy 1 cent. I can't believe it. Wasn't the zone supposed to be free? I know the Usyk and Fury and all those fights you got to pay for, but we're expected to pay $50 for Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I'm not doing it out of principle, M&M. There you go. I've made up my mind. Don't care about the undercard. It's not that great. As I said, if it was a really good undercard with some, the Jais and Zurdos and all that on it, that's different. Still wouldn't watch Jake Paul, though. Am I missing something? The Schofield Farmer fight. Ooh, I'm not sure what's on the card there, Ado. So I'm not sure what you're referring to there, mate. But it is definitely on the card. So I'm not sure what you're referring to there. It is for over 10 rounds at lightweight. So I was been waiting for this one. Ali Ugas. How are you there, Ali? News of the week. Hardman. This is Isaac, the head splitter Hardman. He went bang to No Limit and didn't hold back. Do you think Hardman reached his level or could have gone further? Sauter's Joel Camilleri fight was agreed for November. Yeah, he did go bang, didn't he, Ali? He called Matt Rose a cockhead. That's what he called him. Obviously Matt Rose wasn't aware of any conflict because he rang Isaac straight away and said, mate, what do you want about? And Hardman said, well, just what I said. And apparently there was a few words and Matt Rose said, I'm going to get Timmy and Nikita onto you. And Hardman just laughed about it. So he was saying anyway. There's always two sides of a story. Look, I think, end of the day, Isaac, and I'm a massive fan of Isaac, he did choose to go with No Limit. He left, D&L sort of left the proceedings, didn't they? But he still had Tasman fighters there. He chose to go to No Limit. I don't blame him because the biggest promoters in the country. Didn't get the fights that he was really after. Obviously wasn't happy with his treatment, more so from Matt Rose, and gave him a clip on his way out. Do I think that he reached his level or could have gone further? I think he reached his level, Ali. And again, I'm a massive fan of Isaac. I've promoted him 3 times, and he's a great guy, one of my favourites here in Australia. But I think he reached his level. Yep. I think he might have even exceeded his level, if I'm being honest, Ali. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not every fighter has to be a world-class fighter and fight for world titles. Isaac had a big fight with Michael Zarafa, obviously come up short in that one. Had some really good wins before that with some of the likes of Emmanuel Carlos and, who was? I'll just actually type in his name there for starters. Have a quick look. Had a lot of good wins. I remember his first knockout win over Lucas Miller. Matt Sheen was on my card that he fought. I remember the job he did on Manuel Carlos. Carlos was a really good up and coming young guy, and just made mincemeat out of him. Mark Lucas was an Olympian. Who else we got there? Struggled with Singh, but who else we got there? Yeah, didn't really. Well, he fought Rowan Murdoch, lost a close one to him, and then Saavedra. So yeah, look, I think he actually exceeded where I thought he might have got to, Ali. I remember when I was told by Dean Lonergan that D&L had signed him, I remember thinking, geez, okay, that's a bit odd. You're signing up to Liam Wilsons and Brock Jarvis's and all these type of guys. I think, okay, but when they signed Isaac, I was like, okay. I thought he was a good, capable, solid fighter. I never thought he'd really get to the level, and so he exceeded where I thought he'd get to. And again, I'm a big fan of Isaac just by what he brought to the sport. Now, you're always tuned into the press conferences and the weigh-in, and he's obviously his fights because he could punch like a mule. And we need guys like him in the sport. And I feel really bad for him that he was so disenchanted with what happened, he just decided to retire. And again, I don't blame him. He's got the young family. He's got a job on the side. When you've got to go back on the tools to make a living, probably looking, well, no one's really going out of the way to look after me. And I got no doubt, no limit. If they really wanted to get behind him, they could have got him those fights. The Joel Camilleri fight's a classic example. If they really wanted that fight to happen, they could have easily paid Joel his 30 or 40 grand, whatever he wanted to get paid, and made that fight happen. But they chose not to. That Hardman and Camilleri this is why they, in my thoughts anyway, why the No Limit on Fox was created. To put those type of domestic level big fights on, not the pay-per-views, even though they probably could have got some pay-per-view money for it. But Hardman and Camilleri, I thought, was what that was made for. We got really good fights on Wednesday night. The 2 Liams on, that's awesome. Probably the best No Limit on Fox would probably had. But why couldn't you pay these guys 30 or 40 grand each to fight? That's all it would have taken to get them in the ring. So I think that's on No Limit. I think they could have done better. And I would have loved to have seen that fight as well, Ali. Camilleri and Hardman would have been a great Aussie fight. Imagine the lead up to that. Would have been fantastic. All right, dry turkey. Brian Norman Jr. rehydrated into a middleweight, it looked like. I've never seen Boots put people out cold like that. Shame we couldn't get that fight now with Boots moving up. Yeah, I'm more enthused about the fights at 154 rather than Brian Norman Jr. dry turkey. It would have been a really, really good fight, but I must admit I'd much prefer to see Boots in with a Virgil Ortiz or Murtazaliev than Brian Norman. But, we'll see. Drew, for all the criticism Tim Tszyu gets or doesn't get, I feel quietly confident about his radio silence in the lead up to the Fundora fight. All will be revealed. Yeah, well, we are about a month out, Drew, so I'm sure that it will pick up. Main event will probably start probably after this week's fight, I reckon. This Wednesday's fight, you'll probably see all the attention turn to Tim. I'd say they'll be sending the reporters out to Tim's training camp, and it probably makes sense. They've got the ads going on now for the fight, him and Manny. They've got that sort of going to buy the pay-per-view now, but probably no real use or sense at the moment of doing interviews with Tim until it's time. I would have thought, a month out? As I said, after this week's fight, I think from next week you'll start to see more and more with Tim before he goes over to the States, and no doubt they'll send the team over to the States to cover the fight while they're there. So I'm really looking forward to going. I'm heading off on the 8th of July, and can't wait to get to Vegas and see the Tim Tszyu and Manny Pacquiao doubleheader. Should be fantastic. It'll be interesting to see how many Aussie media or YouTubers, whatever, or content creators go over there. I know Jay McAllister met up with Jay last time. I'm sure he'll get over there this time. Remember, I had a bite to eat with Jay last time. Really good bloke and does some great things for Aussie boxing in the media. So I hope he goes. But I don't remember last time seeing too many of the Aussie media get over there, which was really surprising. Carl says, I've heard a rumour Wilson Navarrete 2 was in talks here in Australia. Yes, that is the word, Carl. Liam hinted at it at the press conference today, but there was an article by someone that I saw that Wilson Navarrete 2 might be in the works to take place here in Australia later in the year. So I think it would take a fair bit of coin to get him out here, Carl. But if it's on pay-per-view here, I'm sure people will pay for it. And, let's hope he gets that crack. Okay, Ado. I'm missing something here. Read the Schofield-Farmer matchup. A risky fight for Schofield. No, yeah, it's definitely risky, but I think he takes care of Farmer, Ado. Should be a good fight, though. Let's have a drink here. All right. If Haney goes properly up to 147, I'd love to see him versus Norman. Norman might hurt him more than Ryan Garcia did. And it would be good to see what Norman's got against a mover. Yeah, well, that's what I said before. No, there's some really good fights at 147 for Norman. Haney would be a really good test for him. I think we forget how good Haney can actually be. I know the Ryan Garcia fight was not, obviously he was dropped 3 times and lost that, but that was actually a pretty close fight. I haven't got any dramas with Haney in that fight. I know he got a lot of criticism. I thought he fought a great fight. Just that Ryan Garcia was just on that night. In his last fight, let's just forget about that. I think he just had one of those stinkers. I think he was just weary of not Barboza. Did he fight Ramirez? Was just weary of his what he had to offer. I think with Norman, even though he's got power, skill-wise, I don't think Haney would be too stressed about him. I reckon that'd be a really good fight, and it probably does make sense. What did I say about the rankings before? So Haney is number 1 with the WBC. I don't think he's rated by anyone else, though. No, he's not. So 1 with the WBC. So that's actually in line to fight the winner of Barrios and Pacquiao. But will he go and fight Norman instead for the WBO belt? We will see. But anyway, I think he'd be a good chance to beat Norman Naz. How many Mexicans have upset the Matchroom apple cart? They upset a lot of apple cart, Shadow Boxer. There's Toby Bartlett in the chat. How are you, mate? Greetings to you over there across the pond. Galal Yafai. Okay. What was I calling him? Gaffai. I can't remember what I was calling him, but Galal Yafai, yes. Goldman's from Tokyo. Mexican guy absolutely destroyed him. Yep. Glenn, Norman is a surprise package, pretty complete with very good power. He drops Haney, I think. Don't know. Now, I'm still thinking Haney could do the job on Norman, Glenn. It'd be excellent fight, and by all means, Norman's got the power to drop Haney like Garcia did, but no, I'd still give Haney a chance in that fight. Sky Nicholson's 18-year-old sparring partner, Tia Ayton, looks super impressive on debut on the Yafai versus Rodriguez card. I didn't see it, Naz, but I will check that out as well if I can find it. Bacon and eggs. G'day, Lyndon and chat. How are you, mate? Probably one of the better monikers in the chat there, mate. Bacon and eggs. Love it. Ali, does Crawford only win by decision or can he KO Canelo? I think he could stop Canelo, though very unlikely. By accumulation of punches, Ali, I could maybe see him, maybe could be a repeat of what he did to Spence, where it's just volume of punches. He cuts and slices and dices Canelo and the referee saves him. I don't know. But Canelo's a tough guy. He was never, ever been rocked, or actually he has been rocked, never knocked down, never really hurt, and in danger of being knocked down or knocked out. So I don't think Crawford could do that, but who's to say he couldn't slice him up and the referee stops the fight. Glenn says, interesting the split between Usyk and his longtime manager. Surprising as they were quite the team they were. It was actually his promoter, wasn't it? I think what's his name? What's his bloody manager's name? Aegis Klemus? It was his promoter, Glenn. Yeah. And there's really been no... or nothing said apart from the fact that it's been an amicable split. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't exactly amicable. You don't split 3 weeks out from a defense of the heavyweight title. If it's amicable, you do it afterwards and you shake hands, whatever. So who knows? I'm sure the truth will come out at some stage, mate. That's for sure. Drew says, Turkey has mentioned the bonus. Yeah, bonus for Canelo Crawford. I hate the incentive. Why can't people just let the fight and the styles unfold of its own momentum? I think it will, Drew. As I said before, mate, I don't think the KO bonus will even enter into their thoughts. What's that, Ryan? My last chat was too long, apparently. I'll summarise. Go Dana. Go Turkey. Go Netflix. Go Bud. Let's go. Make boxing great again. Hey, Ryan, I'm with you, mate. 100% with you. I'm not so sure about the Bud thing. I'm Team Canelo. I've got to pick one. I know I'll be in trouble with Tassie here, but I'm a Canelo man. I'm with you as far as Dana. Not such a Turkey fan, Ryan, but hey, as long as he's bringing us these cards, I don't care. But as far as everything else, I'm not a fan, but hey, go Turkey, as you said. I'm hoping Netflix make it work, Ryan. I'm with you there, mate. I really hope they make a swing of it. I think they could really change the whole streaming landscape. And I've said on here before, because a lot of people say, well, they don't charge for the fights. How are they going to make money? Why is it attractive to them? Well, I'll tell you, it's all about subscribers. They make it free, but you obviously got to be a subscriber to watch it. Now, it's no different to when they make a movie or a mini series or a documentary, whatever it is. They have an allocation. It might be they've got maybe 10 million. That's probably pushing it. They might have $5 to $10 million to put towards a series or a movie or something like that. Probably a bit more. It probably cost a lot more to make a movie these days. Let's just say it's $10 million, $15 million to put towards a movie or mini series. Well, and that's designed to get more viewers. Well, they're just going to do the same with boxing. You're going to allocate that $15 million to boxing and try and bring some really good fights to the sport, and they'll be free, and that'll in turn get people to subscribe to Netflix. So it's I think it's a masterstroke. Who said Netflix has just got to be TV and movies? It's a streaming platform. So why not be boxing, or I know it's a wrestling's on there now too, isn't it? UFC might be next. Concerts, I think they've done concerts in the past, haven't they? But that's another big thing I don't see utilised enough. All these big artists around the world. That's one thing. I know I'm getting off topic here, by the way, but I know some of them have done. They filmed a concert and put it in theatres. I saw awesome Pearl Jam concert at a theatre once. And I think Taylor Swift's done it and all that as well. But I've always wondered, you get an artist like, say, it's AC/DC at the moment going around. And they're coming here in November too, which I can't wait. But AC/DC or a Metallica or one of those types of bands, they might go on tour and do 50 concerts. Why don't they stream them live to fans back here, like everywhere in Australia? All right, guys, it's going to cost you $20 and you'll be able to see Metallica live from Germany. I don't understand why they don't do that more. Maybe that's the next thing Netflix could do. Get concerts involved and put some money and stream it to the channel. But anyway, it's just unlimited on what they can do, and I'm really enthused by the fact they're into boxing now and obviously wrestling as well, because it could be and they are the best in the business at streaming services. So let's hope they can get their shit together with the quality of the stream this time, and they just go from strength to strength. All right, Tony, 2025, without a shadow of a doubt, the two best ring announcers are David Diamante and Stephen Pios. Love to see, sorry, I split that out, to see Stephen get amongst the big fights, pure class. He's a good man, Steve Pios. I think he still needs a little bit of experience, Tony. Look, he's obviously the man now that Dan Hennessy's been given the chop. He's been given the spear. He's out. Stephen Pios is now the man in Australian boxing announcing circle. So, and he's a great guy too. I think David Diamante is good. I'm just trying to think who are some of the other ones out there. Look, I know he's still got Michael Buffer out there. It's still with Jimmy Lennon for me. He's still the man. I still like Jimmy Lennon. Probably tends to waffle on just a little bit. I think I'd like to see him just bring it back just a couple of I was going to say a couple of decibels, not as far as loudness goes, but just the way the introduction's just going a little bit too long. But I still love Jimmy Lennon as far as his tone and the way he speaks. I think it's great. Sort of takes you back to those 70s and 80s great fights, I think. Ryan, Dana will make boxing great again whilst protecting the UFC. Here's the man. I'm with you there, Ryan. I'm a big fan of Dana White. Do you think Usyk and the manager had a difference of opinion over how many fights he has remaining, potential opponents, etc.? Seems strange. Only a few weeks ago, the agent was promoting the fight. Your guess is as good as mine, Ali. I'm sure there's just something that's just come up. It must be very significant, though, if it's caused this split just 3 weeks out from the Dubois fight. You would have thought they would have put it off till after that. But it must have been something pretty drastic, you would think, to make the call now. Look, differences of opinions happen all the time. But again, only they know, and I'm sure it'll come out in the mix. All right, Glenn, boxing doesn't need to be made great again, and if it did, Dana is not the guy. Okay. Yeah, to some extent I agree, Glenn. I think at the moment, I'm with you. I don't think it needs to be made great because I think at the moment it's in a really good spot. But again, I'm saying I'm still not liking the Turkey Al Sheikh influence, apart from putting on the great shows, but I don't like all the overseas fights and the emphasis being overseas. But I'm with you. I do disagree, though. I think Dana White could be great for the sport. But anyway, still no mention from No Limit, Sam Goodman versus Nick Ball. I seen today, Eminem, that Jay McAllister did ask George Rose about Sam Goodman, and all he said was, yeah, it's great. Yep, he's fighting him whenever it is. Yeah, it's really exciting for Australian boxing. Anyway, so back to Tim and back to Liam. That's silly what it was about, wasn't it? So, yeah, it's still odd that they haven't really had a sit down and talked about this fight. Maybe after this week, maybe they will. Who knows? Or maybe they'll wait till after Tim's fight in Vegas. I don't know, but Ali Wilder looked terrible in his last fight. Heavyweight boxing isn't for people that have lost motivation to fight. It's way too dangerous, and I think Wilder should hang up the gloves. Well, this week will tell a lot, Ali. If he struggles this week, I think 100% he should probably pack it in. If he has a really impressive knockout, well, maybe there might be one big payday left in him, and they'll roll him out for one last time. And the Joshua fight makes sense. I wouldn't be putting him in with anyone other than, say, a Joshua, because I don't think he beats them. So I think take the money with Joshua. It's still got a lot of appeal over there. I think it'd be a great build-up and one of those 50-50 fights. So Glenn, worth mentioning that Wilder has split with Malik Scott as well, apparently. Yeah, I did hear that as well, Glenn. I didn't know it was 100% done, though. But yeah, I did hear that he'd split with him as well. So I'm not sure who he's working with at the moment, although I did read something about it, and I did say his name, but I can't remember it. But yeah, good point there, mate. I did hear something about that as well. Did any of the journalists ask the Goodman question to No Limit today at the press conference? Yeah, as I said, mate, Jay McAllister. What a month July is. MVP women's card and ring card. A week later, PBC card, Usyk, Dubois, and then BAM cards. Then a week after that, Zayas card. Yep, with Shushu and Emiliano Vargas on the undercard sport. Yeah, it's going to be a massive month, isn't it? I just can't wait to get over there for when I go. I've got the MVP, so the women's card on the Friday night, the card on the Saturday night, Shiraz and Belunga. More so looking forward to Stevenson and Zapata, though. That's the fight. And even Morale and Kadev should be entertaining as well. And don't forget Puello and Matias should be a good fight. But then the travel over to Vegas for that card should be fantastic. And then I'm not quite sure what time the Usyk and Dubois fight will be on in Vegas, but I suppose it doesn't matter because time doesn't exist in Vegas. So I'll be watching it anyway. Yeah, and Bam Rodriguez that weekend as well. So, yeah, what a weekend that is. Ryan disagrees with Glenn. He says the sport was dead for 20 years, bad promotion, and Ducks protecting their soft records. It has definitely turned around in the past 5 years thanks to Jake Paul. You like that? Put the line in there, don't you, Ryan? All right, Ali. That is terrible if they didn't ask. This is about Sam Goodman. How could they not ask a simple question? Goodman is their fighter too, as far as we know. Hopefully one of them asked tomorrow. Yeah, as I said, mate, Jay did ask the question, but it was a very, very quick answer. Glenn says the sport was never dead. And what has Paul done to the sport apart from paying some of the women, which I admire him for? Glenn, I agree with you there, mate. I think what he's doing for women's boxing is unbelievably good. It's fantastic. That someone said, well, instead of scattering all the majority of the girls out amongst all different promoters and just put them on undercards and not really give them the attention, he's really gone out of his way to sign up all the elite girls out there, or the females, and putting them on big cards. So, look, it says a lot when you've got this card in Madison Square Garden is pretty much sold out. This is the big room. This is not the theatre where George fought last week. This is the big room. It's about 20,000, I think they get in there, which is massive for women's boxing. Now, again, I'll say I'm not a big one for women's boxing, but I love boxing and I love big events, and I've always wanted to go to Madison Square Garden, so I'm looking forward to getting there. And I will say some of my journeys overseas, some of the best fights on the cards have been the females, so I'm looking forward to it, really. And Serrano and Taylor to cap it off. What a fight that'll be. And, of course, Shanika Johnson going for the Undisputed as well. There's Batman in the chat away there, mate. Tony, Bud needs to spend some time with the Benavides camp to learn the sweet science of selling a fight. Do they sell it, though, Tony? I don't know. Look, I'll be honest with you. If it came down to it, I much prefer the way Bud Crawford goes about it, but I get what you're saying. Benavides definitely creates drama and hype and everything else, doesn't he? But for me, he just goes about it the completely wrong way. I just think he's a stain, Benavides, the way he talks and carries on. There's one thing about trash talking and all the rest of it, but do it with a little bit of dignity. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of respect. If you can do that when you're trash talking. Some of the best fighters in the sport, go back to, I was going to say, geez, Haney and Garcia, they don't do it well either. But, back someone like a Floyd Mayweather Jr., the art of selling a fight without the swearing around, all the violence, all that sort of stuff, he just did it well. And Benavides, for me, just has no class. Ali says, talk of a 5x5, no limit, and Tasman fighters this week. I didn't see that, actually. Which fights would you like to see if this took place? I've been asked about that a few times, Ali. Let me have a think about that, and I'll answer that on Walking Boxing. I think I didn't see it. I know there had been whispers a while back, but I didn't see this week that it had been, it's only Monday, so I'm assuming you're talking within the last week. Excuse me. I would like to see it. I know they're talking about Matchroom versus Golden Boy as well, which would be great, or a rematch with Queensberry as well with Matchroom. So, I love the 5x5 concept. It's great. Kane says, looking forward to the Paro and Wilson fight night. Great to see it's not pay-per-view. Yeah, it should be a really good night, Kane. I think both Liam should win quite comfortably. If I had to pick one or the other, I think Liam Wilson probably has the harder fight. What's his name? Jimenez. Yeah, he's got a bit of style about him. Not a big puncher at all. 4 knockouts in 22 wins. Can't punch for anything, but got a bit of movement. Got a nice jab. Moves pretty well. So I think he'll give Liam Wilson a good fight. I think Liam Wilson wins. I think he might potentially knock Jimenez out. I think Navarro is just going to be target practice for Liam Paro, if I'm being honest, Kane, but a good opponent for Liam to come back against. Naz says, I think Christian Mbili is fighting this week also. He seems to have forgotten man at 168. Yeah, now he is fighting. I just can't remember who it's against. Hang on. Christian Mbili. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, hang on. Christian Mbili. Let's see if it brings it up. All right. What is he? 28-0. He is fighting, the 27th against Maciej Sulecki. I got no idea how to pronounce that. It's in Canada, in Quebec. I don't recognise anyone on the undercard, I don't think. There you go. A big fight card there as well. All right, that is on ESPN in the States. There you go. So we might get it here in Australia if we're lucky, although it is footy season, and, of course, I like to have all the footy games on. Yeah, but he is fighting this weekend. Oh, yeah, now this is a guy we haven't mentioned. Dylan Biggs looked the goods on the weekend in the WBC Boxing Grand Prix and advances to the next phase in August. I did see that, Eminem. Yeah, congratulations to Dylan. And let's hope he got another 2 or 3 fights, has he? Might be another, hang on, it's down to 16, 8. So he's got 3 more fights. Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. Do we know who he's actually fighting, Eminem? I'm not quite sure, but yeah, good on Dylan Biggs, and that's 2 down, 3 to go. Sam says if Tim wins next fight, I think he will chase the belt. Fundora let go and not Murtazaliev. Yeah, I think he wants that WBO belt back, Sam. And that's the other thing. It could be Xander Zayos. Could be next if he beats Fundora. Bet your bottom dollar that Fundora will put his hand up for the trilogy fight. Maybe it's Tim says to him, no, you can wait this time. But look, there's so many options. This is why there's so much riding on it for Tim Tszyu. Win, and he's looking at the Ortizes and the Zayas's and all these types of guys. If he loses, I just think he's on the edge of the cliff. I really do. That's how important this fight is. It's not something, in my opinion, that like Murtazaliev, he can come back and have a comeback fight and then go again. I think this is it. So we will see. And this is fingers crossed, of course, why Tim gets the job done this time. Drew, it might not be advertised style, but I would love to see him fly over to the US and meet Zurdo in the ring after Zurdo's fight. Well, I think he's going to be there, Drew. I think Mick Francis said they were going over. I'm not sure whether Jai was going with him, because I bet Mick did say they were going over there to negotiate with the team of Zurdo Ramirez. So don't be surprised if Jai's with him and actually gets in the ring and we start proceedings for that. Jai won't like it, but I would love to see him get in there and really stare down Zurdo, and let's see, the start of a build up to that fight. It'd be great. Oh, sorry, I've missed one here. Sorry, Andy. Sorry, mate. $10. I completely missed your super chat. I'm sorry, mate. Hello, boxing fans. One step at a time for Tim Tszyu. No more counting chickens before they hatch. But unification after still is my first preference. Smash that like button, folks. Thanks very much, Andy, for the $10. It is very much appreciated there, mate. And apologies that I missed it. All right, Ryan says he respects Glenn's opinion. I grew up watching Tyson in the 80s, different eras. Good to see boxing fighting back, living a new exciting era now, thank God. Yeah, well, that's why I sort of agree with Glenn as well. As I don't think it was completely dead. It was probably, let's just say, a little bit of a lull. But, I mean, geez, was it that long ago that we had, the Canelo super fights and the Mayweather super fights and the Pacquiao super fights? Wilder and Fury. I think we've made a nice progression there. I think the only flat spot we had is probably in the heavyweights when the Klitschko's were ruling the heavyweight divisions. Although we did have a few of the guys around back then, didn't we? But if there was a lull that was very, very brief, it could have been 2 or 3 years. But I think we've come out of it really well. And the fact that we've got the likes of Usyk and Canelo and Crawford and Inoue and Benavidez and all these, very, very good fighters around at the moment and potentially great fighters. Yeah, I think if we did have a lull, I think it was only briefly, and I think we're back at the moment. And as I said before, the only thing I don't like, it's just, I know we're taking a little bit of the bad with the good, but it's great what Turkey Al Sheikh's doing, but I'm still not a big rapper Turkey. I would much prefer to see the other promoters, the Oscars and De La Hoyas doing it. The Hearns and De La Hoyas and all those doing it the traditional way. But I get it. And the Crawford Canelo fight will be huge. And as long as those fights keep coming, then I'm sure we'll all be happy. What's that, Ross? Stephen A. Smith wasn't a good basketball player either. I haven't seen him on the basketball court, mate. But if he's boxing anything to go by, well, geez. Naz, I think Mick Francis said they were going to fly over for the fight and put some pressure on Zurdo. Yes, they were, mate. Really hope Chavez wins. Doubt it, though. I'm with you there, Batman. Have you seen anything on Dynamite Hayes versus Gyros Poniris? I'm not really familiar with either of those guys, mate. Both undefeated, 12-0 in Sydney Underground circuit. Proper heads like bare knucklers. I don't know anything about them, mate. There, that underground stuff's pretty hardcore, isn't it? The fact that it's a great idea, by the way. Not so sure they should be getting there without any medicals or anything like that sort of stuff. But I don't mind the fact they police it and officiate it themselves. I don't mind it. It's a great idea, and they live stream it. But yeah, I'm not quite sure I like the idea of no medicals or anything like that, mate. So it's always going to happen. I'm surprised it's taken this long, Aaron. All right, Batman's got Canelo. Sam, Tszyu kissed the ring for a pick. As I said, he did say he loved him. Canelo, nah, Bud all day. How did I know you were going to say that, Glenn? You're not really the number one ticket holder for the Canelo fan club, are you? Julian says Canelo versus School was very disappointing. Thank goodness there was great undercards. Yeah, I thought it was just okay, the undercards. I'm not going to hold it against Canelo, that fight. Julian, 7 o'clock in the morning, foreign country, half-empty stadium, a guy that was running. You can't, I don't know, if you put yourself in his position, would you be taking any risks either? You just win every round, take the payday and go home. So I didn't have a big problem with it. Glenn says, Bud schools that flat-footed ginger. What's that, Batman? Madrimov arguably beat Crawford. Virgil beat Madrimov much more convincingly. Beating the Wash Spence and or Porter has given no indication he can beat anyone at super middle. Yeah, I'm with you there, Batman. The only thing I'll say with that performance from Crawford, I just think he struggled to get into the fight. I don't think he got the opponent that he was after. There's obviously, we've talked about it. Could have been Tim Tszyu, could have been someone else, but I don't think Madrimov was really the guy he wanted to fight. Where probably leading up to the Errol Spence fight, he'd always got the opponents that he wanted to, and his performance reflected that. I think Madrimov was maybe one of the only times he didn't get the opponent that he wanted, and it told in his performance. It was a really flat performance. I think just like Canelo, with the school fight, I think we're going to see a heap better version of Crawford, just like we'll see Canelo. Justin, hi mate. In my opinion, Bud isn't as good as what he's made out to be. He's a badass fighter, but with some average performances against non-top tier fighters. If you go and dissect his resume, that's another good way to look at it, mate, for sure. All right, looks like we're going to have a bit of a discussion between Batman and Glenn here. Crawford is putting up his high guard against Canelo. Mean Machine dropped him and Ricky Burns gave him many problems. What fight has given you the confidence, Glenn, my man, beating a Brook? Okay. I'll let you guys sort it out in the chat. I don't think Arum refused Pac-Man versus Bud several years ago because Crawford doesn't sell. I think it was because he didn't want to potentially sacrifice the Pac-Man cash cow back in the day. Excellent point, Drew. I just think it was one of those things where Aaron would have looked at the fight and went, do we really need to do it? What is the benefits of it? One of the fighters are going to lose. He's got his cash cow in Pac-Man. He's got his up-and-coming star in Bud Crawford. Probably did, or certainly wouldn't be that marketable even back then. It would have been great for the boxing fans, but not a really marketable fight for, let's say, the casuals out there. So I just think Bob Arum would have looked at it and went, yeah, I really just can't see the return on investment here to get these two fighters to fight each other, because either way it's going to be a lose situation for Bob Arum. He's going to lose one of them or push them right back. Pac-Man, who knows? Obviously, like you said, there's his cash cow. I just don't think the fight made sense for Bob Arum and Top Rank at the time. All right. I'll go back to a couple of these comments here. I'm just looking at you guys going out. We've got about 15 minutes to go. No, he didn't arguably get beaten by Madrimov. He won a convincing points decision. This is Bud Crawford. Bud's never looked like losing a fight. Canelo, however, at least 2, possibly 5. Ginger's getting schooled, Batman. Only thing I'll say with that, though, Glenn, is that Canelo's CV or his resume is 10 times better than what Crawford did. So he's obviously had much bigger fights. So obviously, you know, in some of those fights, you're gonna run up against some good fighters and have to pull it out. Some of them arguably so. Batman says easy money. So Batman, he landed like 3 more punches over 12. Was getting hit flush often. I wonder how that plays out when Canelo hits him. Seeing Gamboa wobbled badly by a featherweight. Both making good points. And Canelo may have had close fights, but has he faced Crawford opponents and fought once a year for the last 8? So what I said, Batman, I just don't think you can compare the records between the two. Volume and movement murders the ginger one. Just ask a Bivol. And I don't know what that is. Knows he can't. Oh, Ginger knows he can't cut the ring at all. Well, I am with you there, Glenn, that he has struggled to cut the ring off, hasn't he, Canelo? He doesn't like to do that. He likes the opponents to stand still or come to him either way. I'm not quite sure just volume and movement's going to get it done, though, Glenn. He's going to have to engage with Canelo at some stage. I just think the speed factor for me is a big one. But again, having said that, what sort of speed is Crawford going to have at 168? Which is why I said earlier, should be concentrating more on speed rather than bulking up. Look, if he does give Canelo angles and movement and volume of punches, just like Bivol did, then maybe he gets the job done. The only other thing I will say, though, Glenn, is that Bivol was a big, solid, strong established light heavyweight, 175. Crawford's a small 154-pound fighter going up to 168 against a real solid 168-pound fighter. So lots of intangibles there, but I like all your comments and arguments. Batman says, Canelo unbeaten with Crawford opponents, not even the same, not even just the size, but the levels. Yeah, good point there too. Close fights, maybe you won one round against Bivol. Yeah. I think that's a bit of an outlier though, Glenn. I thought Mayweather probably won 9, if not 10 rounds against Bivol. Canelo, sorry, but that's 12 years ago though. I think that is the outlier, mate. I think that's a one-off. Just think it was a bad choice of opponent by Canelo. Probably the one time in his career where he's got a bit of ahead of himself, or his team's got ahead of themselves. It's only Bivol where Canelo will beat anyone. While he got a massive shock that night, didn't he? Because he pretty much got his ass handed to him, and I think it was a wake-up call for him that maybe you got to stick to your weight division. Judges across all cards gave him the first rounds try again. The first 4 rounds. Okay. I like the arguments. I do. All right, Julian. Jai Pataya is sending a very strong message to Zurdo. Lynden after Jai's tune-up fights. I think he will too, mate, for sure, Julian. All right, Batman. Come on, mate. This is to Glenn. You know, the only Crawford wants... is it the reason? The only reason Crawford wants the fights because he thinks he's washed and or wants the payday, brother. He didn't even think he could win before he beat Spence. What confidence does he gain? Well, I think I'll let you guys continue there. All right, Eminem. Could Brock Jarvis be Nikita's next opponent? 100% he could be, Eminem. I haven't heard anything. I have reached out to a few people. No one really knows what's happening with Nikita. And now this whole Michael Zarafa thing, I have to say again on Walking Boxing about this apparent contract that, although Jay McAllister did ask George Rose about it today, and he did sort of stop short when he was asked about it and had a little bit of a smirk. So maybe something's in the works. But I just still cannot get my head around how No Limit can give Michael Zarafa with a guarantee to fight Tim Tszyu when Tim's team haven't agreed to it. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe they have agreed to it. Maybe they've got a set of stipulations that says if this occurs, then we will put you in the ring with Tim Tszyu. Now, it might be a loss to Fundora. It might be a win against Fundora. Who knows? But again, Michael Zarafa is a 160-pound fighter, ranked only by the WBA at 160. Tim would have the WBC 154-pound title. So I'm not sure how all that works. So getting Michael down to 154 and getting rated by the WBC. I know stranger things have happened and all it takes is a little nudge, wink, whatever the hell they do to get rankings. I get that. I'm just not sure how it works. But the main thing is I just don't know how you can put in someone's contract they're guaranteed to get a fight with another fighter who hasn't put pen to paper. Anyway, hang on, Batman. Glenn, you're delusional. Canelo landed plenty of power shots early. This is to Bivol. I'm with you, Batman. I think we tend to forget that Canelo actually did quite well in the first he probably won 4 of the first 6, I'm assuming. And I thought it was all one-way traffic after that. So what's that, 8 rounds to 4 was probably the mark. Maybe 7. Actually, was it 7 rounds to 5? I think the cards were. I think one of them actually have Canelo winning from memory? I had it 7 rounds to 5 for Bivol, but I was being very, very kind to Canelo. I was probably giving him any close-ish types of rounds because that's the way I thought the judges would have it. But to answer your question, though, Eminem, yeah, Brock could be the next opponent for Nikita. I don't think they'll want Nikita with someone as risky as Brock. I know he got demolished by Thurman, but I'm not sure they would want someone like Brock to be Nikita's opponent. I reckon they're going to want someone that can't punch and is very, very, let's just say very beatable to set up the Zarafa fight down the track. Any idea who Zarafa will be announced against for his next fight? He said the announcement was on Fox Sports on Wednesday. Ooh, okay. Okay, well, there you go. There you go, Ali. So it might be on Wednesday. We do get to find out who the guys are fighting. I got no idea, though, mate. He did say it was going to be an international, an undefeated international, so we will see. Drew says, unfortunately for Hardman, boxing can be a real boys' club if you are on the outer with the promotional outfit than you are like a footy player who is on the nose with the coach. Hit it on the head there, Drew. Now, you're right. If you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. So I don't know what Isaac would have done except probably be, and quite rightly so, maybe a little bit pushy about saying, well, I've signed with you guys. Let's go. Let's get me some of these big fights. Let's see the Camilleries and let's see all these other overseas guys. I've got a feeling maybe with the Saavedra fight, maybe that was the test. And the fact he couldn't get over that test, maybe they've just said, nah, we're just wasting our time with this guy. And, you know, but still, why can't they make those really good domestic fights for Isaac Hardman? Why couldn't they make him against Camilleri or a Koa Mazudia or one of these types of guys? Some good fights out there for Isaac Hardman. But anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, Brett, what do you think about how Dylan Biggs is going the WBC Grand Prix? Unbelievably good, Brett. Fantastic. I did watch the fight, not live. I watched it later, and he looked great. He looked really, really good. He's improving all the time, and it's going to get harder, of course, as he goes through. But great chance of winning the tournament. Which, as I said, 3 fights to go. So, all right, Sam. If Bud versus Canelo goes the distance, Bud wins. Trump and Dana are bum chums. Trump trying to get Mexicans out. Still think Canelo Tico. I don't really understand that comment there, except you're not a Trump fan. But looks of things, Sam. But anyway, it's a free country. I can't believe people actually, hang on, just, oh no, I'm not going to get political. Drew, I can't believe people actually watch or pay to watch fake Paul fight when God was giving out brains. Some people must have thought he was giving out milkshakes, so they asked for thick ones. Very good way to describe that, Drew. What's the odds on the fight there? Batman, Ball was 8-13. He's now 1-4. Half of Liverpool probably already betting on Nick Ball. Okay. Going to be a tough one for Sam, that's for sure. I don't understand the Tom and Jerry comment from Turkey. My childhood memories are that those two beat the crap out of each other every episode. I think he's more looking at the Roadrunner, isn't he, Naz? Yeah, look, I don't like it, Naz. I don't like it. I think he's trying to make it like into like a UFC type of thing. I, for one, like watching a good boxer box. I don't like seeing a runner. I don't like seeing some of the Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson fights. I don't like those. But I liked watching the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Roy Jones Jr. and these types of guys who were just absolutely school opponents. But you probably classify them as a Tom and Jerry situation as well, which is ridiculous. And if you watch, especially you watch Floyd Mayweather's fights, he didn't run. Just look at a lot of his fights. He would actually stand in the middle of the ring and still box their ears off. So I've never liked the fact he's been called a runner. Big difference between what Haney and maybe a Shakur Stevenson do and what School did. But I like a masterful boxer. I want to see Terence Crawford box Canelo. I don't want to see him get sucked into a punch on it because that's not Terence Crawford. I want to see the Terence Crawford that we've all come to admire and been so dominant. That's what I want to see. And that's why I'm not a fan of Turkey Al Sheikh. I'm just not. A stupid observation, a stupid comment. And I really like Crawford saying to him, mate, no one's going to tell me how to fight. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see how Holly Holm goes. David Morrell's manager is a complete fool. I'm hoping David finds a better man woman to guide him. Yeah, he is, Tony, but I think I'm hoping Iman Kadev goes all right, but I just think David Morrell might be a bit big. Do you have any updates on Tyson Pedro? No, I don't, Ali. He was going to fight Terziewski on the undercard of Gallen and Sonny Bill. Such hype, yep. I don't understand what's happened or don't know what's happened there, Ali. It hasn't been revealed. Roscoe Dash, where's your old boy Noonan boy? Is he back living in the USA? No, he's here, Roscoe, but I think he's just got back from the States where he was over there with George Kambosos, mate. So I'm sure you'll see a fair bit more of him. I'm not sure whether he's coming to America for Tim and Manny, but I'm sure he'll be back amongst them, mate, and give some of the best content in Australian boxing. Yeah, Noonan boy. Got a bit of a fan base over there, Noonan boy. Yeah, Jaime Munguia is facing a ban, Eminem. He failed the B test, so he's in a little bit of hot water there, mate. Looks like we've got Canelo. Quack, quack, quack. I'll let you guys continue. Geez, you've got a bit of going on there. I was trying to find... Oh, okay. Sam's a fan of Trump, was just saying. Okay. Richard, you'll get a great fight when Kamazuti is in it. Yeah, I love Kamazuti, Richard. Didn't get that from your comment there, Sam. But again, I think everyone knows my stance on politics. But at the moment, it's just not worth talking about it because everyone's so divided. You've got the President of the United States kicking out illegal immigrants, but that apparently is not the way of the world these days. Kicking out illegal immigrants. Anyway, we'll keep going on. I've only got a couple of minutes to go. I'm not going to get into political stuff, so don't put the political questions in or comments, please. We'll be here all night. All right. Ali, UK Board of Boxing are ridiculous trying to find Eubank Jr. for a sauna suit. I don't understand it, Ali. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Every single boxer out there uses a sauna. And yes, even in the UK, it is the stupidest rule of all time. When a boxer uses a sauna, it's usually one of the last things they do to drain out those last couple of kilos without expending too much energy. Because, I mean, you could easily go in a run or for a run or whatever it might be or do a workout with a sweatsuit on, but that's just expending unnecessary energy when you can just jump in a sauna. And there's a bit of an art to it, by the way. I've been in saunas before with jockeys who are in there for hours, the way they go about it, because they've got to do it for the entire day. I wonder if the same rules apply to all sportsmen, Ali, like a jockey. Are they over there? I wonder if they're allowed to use a sauna. But anyway, as I said, a sauna is only used for that very last bit of weight loss. You don't do it in the lead up to the fight, so it doesn't weaken you because obviously you're putting it straight back on when you drink. You do it as the last thing. You go, you drag yourself to the scales, and you just get on there and you weigh, and then you can replenish all you want. Wasn't so good for us amateurs. We had to fight that day or that night. But for these guys, and they get 36 hours to rehydrate. It's not an issue. So yeah, mate, I'm with you. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Yes, Glenn, we know your thoughts. Facts, the board are being absolutely ridiculous. Yes. What's that, Glenn? He will as he should, and that will be that. Canelo will already be planning his next fight. All right, change the subject here for the last couple of questions. Which card are you looking most forward to on your USA trip in July? Ooh, well, of course it's the Tszyu and Manny card, Thomas. But Naz. But as I said, I'm really looking forward to the girls' fight, just to experience a big fight at the Garden. The other card, like Shiraz and Belunga and Stevenson and Zepeda, I'm looking forward to that, but in sort of a different way. There's no real fights in that I'm really. Although I'm actually looking forward to seeing how Shakur Stevenson reacts to Zepeda just being on him for 12 rounds straight. That'll be interesting. But yeah, it's got to be the MGM card, Naz. Nothing beats a big card in Vegas, and of course we're there for Tim. And let's see how Manny goes against Barrios. And don't forget too, guys, we are doing the Crawford-Canelo fight in September. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Because I'm taking inquiries now about getting over for that one. And just another one thing, while I'm over in the States, just talking of those fights there, Naz, what I will be doing over there, I'm going to try something a little different there, straight after the fight. So it'll be early afternoon here in Australia. I'm going to do a talking boxing on the spot. Now, I'm actually going to even considering bringing you guys on the show. Okay, I don't like to do it here because there's so many questions and that coming through. But I did do it at the start when we started the channel, getting you guys on, but we'll see how we go. But I was thinking about either doing this format after the fight or, as I said, bringing you guys onto the show, little fan feedback or something like that, we'll call it, and have you guys come on and tell us what you think of the fight, rather than me reviewing it and talking like we are now. But I am going to do that while I'm in the States. After Tim's fight and Manny's fight, I'm going to be going live within an hour or so after that card, or hour and a half, whatever it might be, and then I want your thoughts, live thoughts about what you guys thought of it. We might start doing that after all the big fights as well, I reckon, is maybe have a bit of a fan feedback straight after the fights. I'm sure everyone likes the vent. I do my review, you guys have your say, but we'll come on here and we'll chat about it live if you want to do that. Yeah, Shazora Parker looks like the last fight, Ali. Yeah, it does. Yep. Yeah, I might do that one day, Glenn. Yep, you and Batman for sure. So let me know if you'd like to do that. What I'll do, I think I've got the ability to have 3 or 4 in the waiting room here. So I can put the link up. You come on, you'll have to sit in the waiting room until I'm ready to bring you on, and then we'll have a screen just like an interview everyone, and you can come on live and let everyone know your thoughts. So that's what I'm looking at. It depends on what the Wi-Fi is like in the hotel. We'll give it a try, and if not, we'll immediately scrap it and just go to this format. But that's what I'm looking at anyway, guys, to have immediate feedback. So probably about midnight or something over in Las Vegas, but I want to go live straight after the event, okay? I don't go out after the fights and all that sort of stuff. I'll be straight back to the hotel room. So we'll spark up the live chat, and we'll do this straight after. So let me know your thoughts. Drew says, I'd love to see Dan Hennessy as a Canelo Crawford ring announcer so he can announce the wrong winner to millions of people, then pretend nothing happened after he gets it right. Well, it might be one thing to do it in Shanika Johnson and Nina Hughes, Drew. Imagine if it did happen in Canelo Crawford. Oh, my God. Holy shit. That would be pretty crazy. What's that, Eminem? The full Usyk Dubois card hasn't been finalised yet? No, it hasn't yet, mate, but it looks like Joseph Parker will be on there and probably will be against Chisora. All right, what do we got? Let's do the live call together during the actual Bud versus Canelo fight. Yeah, well, hey, that'd be good. Look, yeah, as I said, I will say talking boxing initially was actually going to be that. It was going to be me and you guys coming on, but we get, as you can see there, we get so many people in the chat and everyone. That's just, yeah, I didn't want to just jam it up and, have someone, on for 15 minutes and it just stops the flow of it. So I'm really happy with the concept of this one, but a separate one that we do where it's you guys, and we'll call it the review or the fan feedback or whatever it might be. And yeah, you guys can come on and have your say, and I'll just sit here and nod and agree and let you guys talk about it amongst yourselves. All right, guys. What's that there, Batman? Maybe I'll do that for you. I've got a decent sized channel myself. I'll go live. We could also do it here. Yeah, that'd be great, mate. That'd be awesome. All right, guys. Always great to have you along. Make sure you check out Walking Boxing every morning. Now, this Wednesday, I was going to have the Dream fights on again, but we've got the two Liams on Wednesday night, so we'll scrap that. But the following week, have a think about it, but it's going to be an all-Aussie Dream fight blockbuster. Okay, so have a think about the Aussies you'd like to see against each other, and we're going to have 10 fights of Aussies versus Aussies in Dream fights. Past versus present or past versus past or whatever it might be. And we'll have 10 of the best all-Aussie Dream fights, not this Wednesday, but the one after. And then, of course, we're into going away and doing the vlogs and all that sort of stuff as well. So plenty of stuff coming up. So, guys, have a great week. Can't wait to see you next Monday on Talking Boxing. We'll catch you then.